The night before our graduation, I discovered that my girlfriend of 4 years, Chloe, had been secretly supporting a student from a low-income background. The money she saved from her monthly allowance was all going into his pocket. I confronted her with my phone, but she was silent the entire night. Finally, she just said, "Yes, I feel for him. Are you happy now?" 4 years of being together, all undone by that one admission. I couldn't accept it ending like this, so I wiped my tears and stood beside her in the line for the graduation photo. Just then, her roommate, Jessica, rushed over. "Chloe, Leo heard you're getting engaged to Ethan after graduation, and he took a bottle of sleeping pills in his dorm." Chloe's diploma slipped from her hand and clattered to the ground as she bolted like a flash of lightning. I clutched my own diploma and yelled after her, "If you walk out of here today, I'll take it as you choosing to marry him." Her steps faltered for a second, but then, without a shred of hesitation, she vanished into the crowd. I stood frozen, the tassel of my graduation cap dangling and swaying in front of my eyes. The air was filled with a chaotic mix of our classmates' laughter and shocked gasps. The university president, holding a microphone on the stage, glanced at me, then toward the direction Chloe had fled, utterly speechless. Chloe's parents, their faces grim, rushed over and grabbed my hand. "Ethan, we'll go drag that wretched girl back here right now. She's gone too far." I just shook my head, slowly rolling up my diploma. "Mr. and Mrs. Davis, just let her go." My own parents looked even worse. My father's face was pale with rage, and my mother's tears were already streaming down her cheeks. What is this supposed to be? A graduation? An engagement party? How could she humiliate the Miller family like this? I stepped down from the platform and took my mother's arm. "Mom, I'll take you and Dad home." The scene was a total mess. Chloe's roommate, Jessica, ran up to me, wringing her hands apologetically. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. Leo's situation was just so critical." I just stared at her, saying nothing. Jessica had roomed with Chloe for 4 years. She knew Leo too. In their eyes, Leo was always the one who needed protecting. But a truly fragile person wouldn't try to kill themselves on what was supposed to be the most important day of someone else's life. I picked up my diploma and walked away from the place where we were supposed to be celebrating. My phone buzzed in my pocket, over and over. I didn't answer. I knew it was Chloe. She would be calling to explain, to apologize, to tell me how dangerous Leo's condition was, and that she had no choice but to go. We had been together for 4 years. I knew her inside and out. She had this overwhelming sense of responsibility, especially toward anyone she felt she had wronged. Back in our sophomore year, during a review for financial aid applications, Chloe, as the student government president, had publicly questioned the documents Leo submitted. She thought some parts of his application seemed off. It later turned out to be a misunderstanding. Leo had just filled out the paperwork poorly. The incident made him a laughingstock in our department and became a sickness in Chloe's heart. That guilt had plagued her for 2 years. I used to think it was right for her to help him. She had made a mistake, and she should make up for it. Only today did I finally understand that some forms of compensation cross a line. Back in my dorm room, I stripped off my cap and gown and changed into regular clothes. I knew Leo would have been taken to the University Medical Center, the closest hospital to campus. I grabbed my keys and headed out. In the emergency room, just as I expected, Chloe was sitting by his bed. Leo was lying there, and 4 drip in his arm. His face was pale, his eyes were shut, and his eyelashes were still wet with tears. Chloe was holding his other hand, her brow furrowed with worry. When she saw me walk in, she jumped to her feet, her eyes filled with regret. "Ethan, you came. I'm so sorry about today. How is he?" I cut her off, my gaze fixed on Leo in the bed. "The doctor said they pumped his stomach in time. He's not in any danger, just weak and emotionally unstable." I nodded. "That's good." With that, I turned to leave. Chloe grabbed my wrist. "Ethan, please don't be angry. This is my fault. I can't just abandon him. He's just a kid from a poor family. It's so tragic." I pulled my arm away. "Chloe, I'm not angry. I just think it's telling that our graduation ceremony wasn't as important to you as a guy you've known for 2 years. That's not true, Ethan. You're the most important person in the world to me." "But he was dying." "The doctor said he wasn't going to die," I replied, my voice eerily calm. Chloe's lips parted, but no words came out. Just then, Leo stirred in the bed and his eyes fluttered open. The moment he saw me, tears streamed down his face. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I didn't mean to. I saw the pictures from your graduation and I just thought about my own future, and I just lost control. I'm so sorry I ruined your special day." He sobbed, his whole body shaking. Chloe immediately sat back down on the edge of the bed, soothing him in a soft voice. It's okay. It's all in the past now. Don't think about it. You just need to rest. She shot me a look, a hint of accusation in her eyes. See? He's already in this state. Can't you have a little compassion? I didn't say a word. I just turned and walked out. Outside the hospital doors, the hot summer wind felt thick and sticky against my face. It was only then that I noticed my hands wouldn't stop shaking. The next morning, Chloe was waiting for me outside my dorm building with breakfast. I buzzed open the main door but told her to stay downstairs. She handed me the bag of food with a pleading smile. Ethan, I wanted to apologize for Leo. He was just really emotional yesterday. He didn't mean any of it. What? He can't speak for himself. He needs you to apologize for him? Chloe's smile froze on her face. He's still very weak. Chloe, let's forget about him for a second and talk about us, I said, looking her straight in the eye. Our graduation was ruined. Our engagement is a joke. What are you going to tell our families and all our friends? She was quiet for a moment. We'll wait for things to die down. Then we can have a small dinner party for everyone. A dinner party? I laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. You really think a dinner party is going to fix this? Well, what else can we do? It already happened, she snapped, her frustration showing. Ethan, I know you're upset, but Leo comes from nothing, and he almost died. Can't you just find it in your heart to pity him and be a little more understanding? There was that word again, understanding. I took the breakfast from her and set it down on a nearby step. I get it, you should go. He's all alone at the hospital and needs someone to look after him. Chloe visibly relaxed, thinking I had conceded. I knew you had a good heart. Don't worry. As soon as he's out of the hospital and stable, I promise I'll make this up to you. She turned and walked away. I watched her go, then picked up the breakfast from the steps and tossed it into the nearest garbage can. Later, I went to the administration building to file my checkout paperwork. On the way, I passed the University Medical Center and, on some strange impulse, I went inside. I wanted to see Leo for myself. He was propped up in bed, scrolling on his phone and laughing with the patient in the next bed. He looked perfectly fine. When he saw me push the door open, his smile vanished, instantly replaced by a pathetic, miserable expression. Ethan, you came? I nodded. Just wanted to see how you were doing. I walked over and picked up his chart from the bedside table, glancing through it. Looks like you're recovering well. You'll probably be discharged tomorrow. Yeah, he mumbled, looking down. Thanks for coming all this way to see me. Don't mention it. Just don't do anything stupid like this again. It's your life to live. He bit his lip, his eyes welling up again. I know, Ethan. It's just that sometimes, I really can't take it anymore. I didn't reply. I just put the chart down and walked out of the room. That afternoon, I found my friend Anna, who was doing her internship at the medical center. Hey, do you remember that guy who was rushed in yesterday for swallowing pills? Leo Carter? Anna thought for a second. Oh yeah, I remember him. A gorgeous girl brought him in, practically carrying him. She was pale with panic. What about the dosage he took? Oh, don't even get me started, Anna said with a scoff. It was a few vitamin C tablets mixed with maybe 2 sleeping pills he got from God knows where. The dose was smaller than what I take some nights to fall asleep. It was all for show. He came in sobbing his eyes out, but all the doctors and nurses knew what was up. It was a performance for an audience. He was never in any danger. My heart sank, piece by piece. That evening, Chloe asked me to dinner, saying she wanted to celebrate my acceptance into the graduate program. She seemed to be in high spirits, telling me Leo had been discharged from the hospital and she had gotten him all settled. I made a reservation at that steakhouse you love, she said. In the car, she kept trying to take my hand, but I pulled away each time. Ethan, I know I've put you through a lot lately. I know I owe you a graduation. Just wait. I promise I'll make it up to you with something even bigger and better. I just stared out the window at the passing city lights, silent. Chloe, how much money do you give Leo every month? I asked suddenly. She froze. Not much. I give him half of my allowance. Chloe's family was wealthy. The allowance her parents gave her was substantial, and half of it was no small sum. Didn't he apply for financial aid from the university? He did, but it wasn't enough. And you know how proud he is. He's too embarrassed to ask his family for more. So you've just been bankrolling him? My voice grew icy. Chloe's brow furrowed, and her tone became sharp with irritation. Ethan, what is that supposed to mean? Bankrolling him? I'm atoning for a mistake I made. Her voice rose. I almost destroyed his reputation. I'm just trying to make sure he doesn't have to worry about money for the rest of his life. Is that so wrong? I said nothing. The atmosphere in the car turned frigid. We ate our entire dinner at the restaurant in near total silence. On the drive back, Chloe's phone rang. It was Leo. She answered, and her voice instantly softened. "What's wrong? Are you feeling sick? You're dizzy again? Don't be scared, and don't move. I'm on my way over right now." After hanging up, she forced a smile. "Ethan, I'll drop you at your dorm first, then I have to run over to Leo's. He lives alone and gets scared easily." I just watched her quietly for a moment. "Chloe, who is he to you?" Her smile froze. He's a student I mentor." "So you're responsible for him for the rest of his life? That includes fixing his fuse box." "Ethan," she flared up, "why are you being so impossible? He's all alone, he just got out of the hospital, and the power is out in his room. Am I supposed to just ignore that? He could call the RA, or ask a friend for help. It's not the same. He doesn't trust anyone else." I laughed. "Right? He only trusts you." I reached over and opened the car door. "Don't worry about dropping me off. I'll walk. Go on. Your special student is waiting for you." I got out and slammed the door shut. Chloe's car idled behind me for a moment, and then it drove off in the direction of Leo's dorm. After that night, we were in a cold war. Chloe didn't contact me, and I didn't contact her. The apartment we had rented together off campus for our graduate studies was all set up, ready for us to move into right after graduation. I went to the new apartment by myself. Felt huge and empty. We had picked out all the furniture together. I just sat on the sofa for a very long time. A week later, Chloe called. Her voice sounded exhausted. "Ethan, we need to talk." We met at the new apartment. She was thinner, with dark, heavy circles under her eyes. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I know I've been awful lately," she began. "Leo's been really emotionally unstable, and I've had to spend a lot of time with him." I didn't say anything, just watched her, waiting for her to go on. "I know you must be upset, but Ethan, we've been together for 4 years. Don't you know me by now? With Leo, it's truly just guilt and a sense of responsibility. Nothing more." "I know," I said. She let out a breath of relief. "I knew you'd understand." She moved toward me, reaching out for a hug, but I took a step back, out of her reach. "Chloe, I came here today to tell you that I don't want this apartment." She froze, her arms still halfway raised. "What are you talking about? We rented it together, but the lease is in your name, and you paid the security deposit. I don't want it anymore." "Why?" "Ethan, this is supposed to be our home," she said, her voice rising in panic. "Because if one day Leo's fuse box blows again, or his pipes get clogged, you'll decide he needs a home more than I do." The color drained from Chloe's face. "Ethan, do you have to be so cruel? Do you have to say things just to hurt me? Am I not telling the truth? I'm just doing him a small favor." Running out of our graduation in front of thousands of people was a small favor? Giving him half of your allowance every month is a small favor? "Chloe, you do way too many of these small favors." She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Finally, she took a deep, shuddering breath. "Fine, Ethan. If that's what you think, then I'll show you." She stared right into my eyes and said, enunciating every word, "I'm going to have Leo move in here in a few days. He can have the spare bedroom." My mind went blank. "What did you just say?" I said, "I'm moving Leo in," she shouted, as if trying to convince me, or maybe herself. "I can't trust him to be alone in the dorms. Something always happens. If he's living right here under our roof, I can keep an eye on him, and then you won't have to worry either. That should solve everything, right?" I stared at her as if she were a complete stranger. "Chloe, you're insane." "I'm not insane. I'm perfectly rational. I cannot let anything else happen to him. It's my responsibility." She emphasized every single word. A wave of exhaustion washed over me, a weariness that felt bone deep. "Fine," I said. "Let him move in." Chloe seemed stunned that I had agreed so easily. I took my key out of my bag and set it on the coffee table. "Here's your key back. From now on, this can be a home for you and your student. I hope you two will be very happy here." I stood up and walked out of the home I had once been so excited about. As the door clicked shut behind me, I thought I heard the sound of something shattering inside. The tears I'd been holding back finally fell. For years, over just like that, I had broken up with Chloe. I didn't tell anyone, not even my parents. I just moved back into my old dorm room on campus. Chloe never reached out to me again. She was probably busy getting her precious student settled. In her mind, I was likely just throwing a fit and would come around in a few days. Life went on. I focused on my graduate studies. But the campus was small and it was impossible to avoid them. I'd see Chloe with Leo everywhere, helping him find books in the library one day, saving him a seat in the dining hall the next. Leo was practically glued to her side, and Chloe just let him be. Whenever we'd pass each other on campus, Chloe's eyes would dart away, her lips would part as if to speak, but she'd say nothing, just furrow her brow and turn away. Leo would just duck his head, a perpetual look of victimhood on his face. The School of Law had a new visiting lecturer that semester, Dr. Sarah Jennings. She was young, brilliant, and had just come from a top firm in New York. One day, Chloe brought Leo to sit in on one of Dr. Jennings's lectures. Dr. Jennings had assigned a discussion topic about the legal boundaries of compensation for emotional distress in tort law. Leo raised his hand, and when he stood, his voice trembled. "Professor, I believe the party at fault should have to pay indefinitely, until the victim feels their emotional debt has been settled. There should be no limit to that responsibility." Dr. Jennings adjusted her glasses, her gaze sharp. "Young man, the law is about proportionality. Rights and obligations are reciprocal. We seek reasonable compensation, not what you're describing. What you're describing is emotional blackmail. If we elevate personal guilt above the legal code, what's the point of having laws at all?" Leo froze, and I saw the color drain from Chloe's face. She shot to her feet. "Professor, what are you implying?" "I'm implying," Dr. Jennings said coolly, "that this young man's opinion lacks the rational basis required for legal thought. It sounds more like an excuse for certain behaviors." She looked at Chloe. "And you are, what, his legal counsel?" Before Chloe could answer, her gaze shifted past her and landed on me. "Ethan Miller, why don't you explain the proper liability and scope of damages for this case?" Chloe grabbed Leo and they left. As she walked out, she shot me a look, one that clearly blamed me for not defending them. After class, as I was packing my bag in the hallway, Dr. Jennings approached me. "Your girlfriend?" she asked. "Ex-girlfriend," I replied without looking up. Dr. Jennings just nodded, not pressing the issue. After that day, I applied to be a research assistant on one of her projects, and she accepted. The work was demanding, involving long hours reviewing case law and academic papers, but it kept my mind occupied and away from all the drama. My parents started getting anxious when I stopped mentioning the engagement to Chloe. Knowing I couldn't hide it forever, I finally told them the truth. "We broke up." My mother nearly fainted. "Why? What happened? Did that girl do something to hurt you?" I didn't tell them about Leo. I didn't want them to share in my humiliation. I just said, "We wanted different things. We just grew tired." My father was quiet for a long time before walking over and putting a hand on my shoulder. "Then it's for the best. A son of mine as exceptional as you will have no trouble finding someone." Chloe's parents came to see me, too. Their eyes were red-rimmed, and they looked as if they had aged years overnight. "Ethan, Chloe has done you a terrible wrong. We failed as parents, and we are here to apologize on her behalf. Mr. and Mrs. Davis, this isn't your fault. It was between her and me." "That boy, Leo," Mrs. Davis began, her face etched with worry. "We know everything. That foolish girl moved him into the apartment. We went there, we yelled at her, we pleaded with her, but it's like she's been bewitched. She just says we don't understand, that we're heartless." "Mrs. Davis, you have to let it go. Let her be," I said. "Everyone has to live with the consequences of their choices." Chloe chose her so-called responsibility, and now she would have to bear everything that came with it. I started actively avoiding any place I might run into Chloe and Leo. I poured all my time and energy into Dr. Jennings's research project. Our team was scheduled to spend 2 weeks in a remote village in another country, conducting a field study on local customary law. The night before we left, I went to a reunion with some old high school friends. A guy named Mike was there. He went to Westwood University too, but was in a different department, so I didn't know him well. He seemed surprised to see me. "Ethan Miller, you're here?" He'd had a few beers and was feeling chatty. "Hey man, let me tell you some gossip. You know that kid Leo Carter from school? The one who's supposedly on a full scholarship." My stomach dropped. "I know him. Yeah, he's from my hometown. We went to the same high school. His family isn't poor at all. His dad's a construction contractor, owns like 3 houses in our town. The guy's a total fraud. He just loves playing the victim to get sympathy." My hand, holding a glass of water, froze halfway to my lips. "What did you just say?" "I'm serious, man, I swear. His older brother just bought a brand new SUV, like a $70,000 car. He posted pictures of it on Facebook, then deleted them a little while later. Everyone from our hometown knows he's faking being poor to scam the university for financial aid. We all think he's a loser and just can't be bothered to call him out on it." I felt the blood freeze in my veins. A rich kid pretending to be poor and a fool so consumed by guilt she'd lost all reason. What a perfect pair. I pulled out my phone and looked up Leo's iMessage profile. but his public posts were private. I handed my phone to Mike. Can you find his brother's Facebook page? Mike took my phone and tapped around for a minute. See? This is the one. He just got it last month. The photo showed a guy my age leaning against a gleaming black SUV, grinning from ear to ear. In the background stood a large, nicely renovated two-story house. I saved the photo to my phone. After the party, I got a text from Chloe. It was the first time she had reached out in the month since our fight. Ethan, Leo's birthday is coming up. He's always admired that watch you used to wear. Could you tell me where you got it? I want to buy one for him. I stared at the message and just laughed. I texted back, sure, meet me at the south gate of campus. I'll bring it to you. I printed the picture of the SUV and put it in an envelope. Then I took the expensive, authentic watch my father had given me and placed it in a second, identical envelope. I waited for her at the south gate. When Chloe arrived, she looked even more worn down than before. Ethan, she said, a brief flicker of hope in her eyes when she saw me. I held out the two envelopes. In one of these is the authentic watch my father gave me. It's very expensive. In the other is a knockoff I bought downtown for $50. Chloe stared, completely baffled. Pick one, I said. A birthday present for your dear Leo. She just looked at me, her eyes filled with confusion. Go on, choose. Let's see if your precious student is worth the real thing or just the cheap imitation. I pushed the envelopes into her hand and walked away. She didn't try to stop me. The next day, I was on a plane with Dr. Jennings and the research team, heading out for our field study. I thought that would be the end of it. But a week later, I got a frantic call from Jessica. Her voice was shaking, on the verge of tears. Ethan, you have to come back. Something happened to Chloe. A knot of dread formed in my stomach. What happened? It's her and Leo. They've both been in an accident. When I landed, Dr. Jennings was waiting for me at the airport. Her expression was calm. I heard what happened, she said. Get in. I'll drive you to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, I pieced together the story from Jessica's fragmented, tearful explanation. Apparently, after Chloe went home with the two envelopes, she and Leo had a massive fight. I don't know what she chose or what she said. Leo became hysterical, screaming that I had insulted him and that Chloe had never really trusted him. He stormed out, and Chloe got in her car to chase after him. On a winding road up in the hills, they started arguing fiercely in the car again. Leo completely lost control and grabbed the steering wheel from Chloe. The car swerved, crashed through the guardrail, and tumbled down the embankment. The light outside the operating room stayed on all night. Just as dawn was breaking, a doctor emerged, his face etched with exhaustion. Who is the family of the patient? Chloe's parents surged forward. Doctor, our daughter. How is she? The patient, Chloe Davis, suffered a shattered wrist and severe nerve damage. We've done everything we can, but it's likely she will lose most of the function in her hand. Mrs. Davis's legs buckled, and she crumpled to the floor. I had to brace myself against the wall to stay upright. Chloe was a prodigy in the university's fast-track medical program. Her dream was to become a top surgeon. Her hands were her entire future. And the man with her? I asked, my voice shaking. The doctor glanced at me. The man? Leo Carter? A mild concussion and some cuts and bruises. He'll be fine. The doctor paused, then added, oh, and for what it's worth, the police found a debit card in his wallet. The account has a balance of over $70,000. Doesn't exactly scream low-income student. Chloe was awake. She lay in her hospital bed, staring blankly at the ceiling tiles. Her arm, encased in a heavy cast, rested on a pillow beside her. I pushed the door open. Her eyes lit up for a second when she saw me, then immediately went dull again. Ethan, she rasped. I placed a stack of her old medical textbooks on the bedside table. The university board met. They're letting you keep your enrollment status, but with your hand. She closed her eyes, silent. The police finished their investigation. They determined Leo was primarily at fault for grabbing the steering wheel. She still said nothing. Leo is in the room next door. His parents are here. They drove up in a brand new luxury car, decked out in designer clothes. That finally got a reaction. She slowly turned her head to face me. So, it was all a lie? Yes, I said, my voice flat. A single tear escaped the corner of her eye and traced a path down her temple. Ethan, I am so sorry. I looked at her. You don't owe me an apology. You owe one to yourself, to your parents who sacrificed so much for you, and to the white coat you'll never get to wear. I turned to leave. Don't go, she cried out, her voice desperate and pleading. Ethan, can you please, give me another chance? I stopped in the doorway but didn't turn around. Chloe, The moment you ran out of our graduation for him, we were already over. Is it because of Leo? I was a fool. He tricked me, she cried out. It's not because of him, I said. It's because, time and time again, you chose him. You chose him over me at our graduation. You chose him over our future home. You chose to scream at me and freeze me out, all for him. And now, you've chosen to throw away your entire career for him. Chloe, what was it about him that was worth all this? She fell silent. After a long moment, I heard her choked voice. I don't know. I felt like I owed him. Whatever you thought you owed him, I shouldn't have been the one to pay the price. I pulled the door open and walked out. Sarah Jennings was standing there. She handed me a bottle of water. You heard all that? She nodded. A woman like that isn't worth your pain. I twisted the cap off and took a long drink. The cool water did little to calm the turmoil inside me. I know. Even with physical therapy, the damage to her hand will have permanent consequences. She'll never be able to perform the fine motor tasks required for surgery. My hand paused. Sarah looked at me. Do you feel sorry for her? I shook my head. No. I was just thinking that she'll never hold a scalpel again. Leo was expelled from the university. For financial aid fraud and felony reckless endangerment, he was facing serious legal charges. His parents tried to offer the Davis family a large sum of money to drop the charges, but they adamantly refused. Mr. Davis just looked at them and said, "No amount of money can buy back my daughter's future." Chloe started physical therapy. It was agonizing, and she would be drenched in sweat every day, but she never complained. Jessica came to see me once. "Ethan, I know I shouldn't be here, but Chloe is in a really bad place. The university transferred her to the public health program, her parents are barely speaking to her, and now there's the whole lawsuit against Leo. I'm just so worried she's going to give up. And what do you want me to do about it? Go take care of her? Comfort her? Tell her it's all going to be okay?" I asked. Jessica, whatever we had for 4 years, it ended the moment she ran out of our graduation for another man. I didn't see Chloe again after that. Her parents picked her up the day she was discharged from the hospital. I heard she started practicing how to write with her left hand, her new script clumsy and misshapen. We saw each other once, from across the crowded hospital lobby. She had lost so much weight, and her eyes were hollow. She looked 10 years older. I just turned and walked into the elevator with Sarah. Life, it seemed, finally returned to normal. Sarah started pursuing me. She'd bring me coffee in the morning, wait for me patiently when I worked late on my research, and invite me to see new movies. I didn't say no, but I didn't immediately say yes either. My mom was thrilled. She thought Sarah was perfect. "Ethan, Dr. Jennings is wonderful. She's so accomplished and mature for her age. You need to hold on to her." I would just smile and say nothing. Felt like I had lost the ability to love anyone. 6 months later, I ran into Chloe at the grocery store. She was carrying a shopping basket with her left hand, slowly picking through vegetables by herself. Her movements were deliberate and slow, her injured right hand hanging limply and unnaturally at her side. She froze when she saw me. Then, a painful smile, one that looked more like a grimace, spread across her face. "Ethan, long time no see." We stood on opposite sides of an aisle, a barrier of cereal boxes between us. Are you doing okay?" she finally asked. "I'm doing great," I replied. That's good. She picked up her basket and slowly walked past me. Her figure looked small and lonely from behind. That evening, as Sarah and I were leaving work, I told her about running into Chloe. She took my hand. "It's all in the past now." "Yeah, Ethan," she said, looking at me seriously. "I know you're still healing from a deep wound. That's okay. I'm willing to wait. Whenever you're ready, we can start moving forward together." I looked at her, and my eyes suddenly burned. "Sarah, that's not fair to you. In love, there's no fair. There's only I wanted a..." That night, I told her I was ready. We started dating. Our life wasn't dramatic, but it was stable and peaceful. Sarah was busy with her career, and I was busy with mine, but we always made time for each other. She remembered all my favorite things, and would bring me food when I was up late working on a brief. I would cook her a celebratory dinner whenever she won a major case. Our love wasn't a wildfire. It was a quiet, steady flame. I thought the name Chloe Davis would just slowly fade from my life. Then one day, I received her wedding invitation in the mail. I didn't recognize the groom's name. He was a classmate from her public health program, a plain-looking guy. The wedding was at a modest hotel downtown. I didn't go, but Sarah sent a gift on our behalf. I heard from Jessica later that Chloe didn't smile once during the entire wedding. When it was time for the toasts, someone encouraged her to say a few words. She just stood there holding the microphone in silence for a long time. Finally, all she said was, "Thank you for being willing to marry me." After I graduated from law school, I accepted a position at Sarah's firm, and we became colleagues. We got engaged, then married. Everything felt natural and right. My parents were overjoyed. Chloe's parents sent an incredibly generous wedding gift, with a note saying they would always feel guilty for the 4 years of my life their daughter had wasted. I told them it was all in the past. In our second year of marriage, Sarah and I had a child, a beautiful little girl with her mother's eyes and my nose. Sarah was a wonderful wife and an even better mother. She said she never wanted to miss a single moment of our daughter's life. My life was happier than I ever could have dreamed. The only news I ever got of Chloe came from Jessica, who I ran into at an alumni event years later. She told me that after graduation, Chloe had moved back to her small hometown and taken an administrative job at a local clinic. The work was simple and didn't require fine motor skills. She and her husband had a son, and their life was quiet and unremarkable, neither happy nor sad. Her ruined hand still ached on cold, rainy days. She never held a pen with it again, let alone a scalpel. She, who had once been a prodigy, the brightest star in any room, was now just an ordinary person living an ordinary life. Jessica sighed. She completely ruined her own life. I had nothing to say. Leo was eventually convicted. Fraud, reckless endangerment, a list of charges. He went to prison. Chloe never broke a single law, but in a way, she had sentenced herself to life imprisonment, forever trapped in the prison of her past. One day, I was at the park with Sarah and our daughter, when I saw a familiar figure. She was sitting alone on a park bench, watching a kite dance in the wind. There were streaks of gray in her hair, and her shoulders were slumped. Sarah followed my gaze. "Is that her?" I nodded. Just then, our daughter's balloon slipped from her grasp and floated away, and she burst into tears. The sound snapped me back to reality, and I knelt to comfort her. Sarah had already scooped our daughter up, lifting her high into the air. "No more tears, sweetie. Come on, Mommy will buy you a brand new one. How about that?" Our daughter's sobs turned to giggles. The three of us walked on, our laughter echoing in the park. I didn't look back, but I could feel her eyes on us, watching us go. I knew that gaze would follow us for a long, long time, until we turned the corner and disappeared from view. Just as I had once watched her back as she walked away from me without a moment's hesitation. We both stood at a crossroads. She chose her path of penance, and I chose to save myself. Now, all these years later, the dust has settled. We ended up on two completely different roads, living two completely different lives. And in the end, that's all it was. A choice made, and a consequence born.